Welcome back, Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. We are live on NBC Sports Washington. An old friend of ours joins us. I didn't realize it was this long because he goes, this is the first time I've been in this place. We've been here for 6 years, but it's Chief Kevin Davis, who's now the chief of police in Fairfax County. He's a DeMatha guy like you guys, so that's kind of...
Known him forever.
Was he a DeMatha? Were you a DeMatha football player?
Football, right?
Mm-hmm.
A year older than 87.
And his brother Brian graduated with Derek and I.
Yep.
Got you. So he graduated with our boy Stumper.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Know him well. The parking was a little better in Lanham. It's so crowded here, they don't even have police parking.
It was.
How does that work if you're a cop? Like, typically, can you park wherever you want? Like, how does that work?
Well, I think sometimes they give you a little
pass,
a little discretion.
Yeah.
Not here. Not here. I think this guy could charge me extra.
So where did you park? Downstairs?
Across the street in a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I squeezed in between two cars.
If you're a police vehicle, do they typically just let you in? You just wave. Is that typically how it works? I mean,
well, sometimes they're glad to see you.
Yeah.
They're glad to see you. They're glad that you're there. They like the presence. But
right.
There's a lot going on down here.
There's a lot.
It's impressive.
We used to park 6 years ago. We started, and first of all, we could see the Capitol. Okay, we could see the Capitol. We could see there used to be a McDonald's, which we could see. Now we just see buildings. We used to park across the street in a lot, which is now another building, and that's all they do is put buildings up.
Yeah,
Every
amazing.
Year or two, there's a brand new building here.
It's amazing. Well, when I left the D.C. market, I kind of left you guys, so it's good to be back in the DMV.
Hopefully you were podcasting. You can listen anytime,
I'm getting more sophisticated. It takes me a while. It takes me a while.
So
I have
what
4
brought
kids.
you back to the action, though? I mean, you worked for, let's go through, you worked in PG County for years.
Yeah, retired from PGPD as the number 2.
Then you were the big dog in Baltimore.
Well, before that, I was the chief in Anne Arundel County.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you did Anne Arundel County for a half second.
And then Baltimore. I got appointed during the riots.
Right. And that's
2 mayors, the riots. There's a couple HBO things coming up. One's a documentary.
Are you in that?
It's called The Slow Hustle. I'm in that.
Yeah.
And then there's another one called We Own This City, which is David Simon's Return. It's a miniseries, 6 episodes. It comes out in 22.
Yeah.
That one's a little scary because they actually have actors portraying us. So I can't say who he is, but I'm disappointed that they think I look like that.
That's pretty
Did
funny.
you get Brad Pitt?
No, he was unavailable. He couldn't put on enough muscle for the show. So
then I know that you were killing it in the consulting world and all that when you've had the kind of resume that you've had. What brings you back? Why do you want to get back into the mix?
I shared with you guys briefly the travel. The travel's been kind of cool for about a year, especially if you haven't done it most of your life.
Because you were like consulting all over the world.
I was working for a Boston startup company, and I was back and forth to Ireland and across the country, and and I was teaching a class at American University and Catholic University, like Intro to Criminal Justice,
right?
But I just missed it, and then when George Floyd hit, no kidding, and everything exploded, literally and figuratively. I just saw the profession that I love in crisis, and the opportunity came up to compete for Fairfax. And it's home. It's the DMV. So I did it, and I'm very, very fortunate to be there.
Wow.
And it's kind of a weird situation because he's got 4 kids.
4, yep.
And he's got 3 kids now because his kids were at DeMatha. They graduated. They'll be at Penn State. And but your wife and kids are still living in Maryland, and you got like a temporary
dual
place.
resident. Yeah. So I live in Fairfax. Still have the house back in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
A lot of commute.
Yeah. You wake up and you're like, where am I? Yeah.
Is your youngest still in high school?
Twins. They both just graduated.
Yeah.
They did.
From DeMatha.
Can you settle this? I would say traffic in Virginia worse than traffic in Maryland, since you're a dual guy.
Hands down.
Way worse.
But it's not just the traffic, and this might just be my imagination, but the traffic lanes in Virginia seem to be unforgiving and very narrow, particularly on 66.
Oh, 66 is a disaster.
You got to pay attention. Not that I don't pay attention, but you really got to pay attention.
I don't know that I've... So for a period of time, I would drive to Charlottesville back and forth to visit like my wife's family. And I don't know there's ever a time when I did not face traffic. And then if I ever do 95, I don't know there's ever been a time where there's not traffic around the Occoquan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
well, construction's always underway.
Construction for 20 years.
JP, 66 right now has got to be the worst road in America for 30 miles. I'm not exaggerating. For 30 miles, there's construction on both sides.
Can I ask Kevin a
But
question?
that's a good thing because Virginia can afford to improve the roadways. And I joke with the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Jeff McKay, who's a Bishop Ireton guy.
Okay.
We talk about traffic all the time.
I have a beef with Fairfax County, and it's about a 20-year-old beef. Fairfax County is known, and I don't know, Kevin, maybe you can change this a little bit. I think you guys are insane with the speeding stuff where I got to...
You mean cameras?
No, like...
there's no cameras. You mean enforcement?
No, okay, I mean, yes, I'll give you an example. So this is a class... So we used to work 7 to midnight, 7 to 1.
Yeah.
And, man, it's boring. And nobody on the road. One day I just want to see how fast my car could go. I want to see how fast this thing can go.
Right.
I'm driving literally by myself at 66. Now, I will say this. The guy gave me a break, and he wrote me for 89 because he said this used to be the motto in Fairfax County. Over 80, lose your freedom. Over 80, lose your license. Over 90, lose your freedom.
Yeah.
And he said, what are you doing? I said, officer, I'm sorry. I honestly, I drive this every night. Just me and 60, or whatever it was. What was
66,
that?
right?
Yeah, 66 going home.
Yep.
I said, I just want to see how fast the car could go. Honestly.
Well, that's an A for honest.
Huh? Yeah, it was honestly. And she said,
well, are you sure it wasn't a Virginia State trooper? Are you sure?
No.
Was it Fairfax County?
Well, because I was told in Fairfax County, like the judges in particular, maybe more so than the cops.
Yeah.
The judges in particular, they hammer speeders.
Right.
Like in Maryland, I go for it when I'm going home, like around College Park. I'm going 100. They never pull you over
That's
there.
probably always been the case with traffic enforcement. But I bet you I have to look. I'm gonna have to research that.
But he did lose his license for like 6 months.
I lost my license in Virginia. I had to get a waiver to
drive
go
him
to work.
home.
I had to get a waiver to go to work anyway. And then the crazy, judges.
I'm going to say that was the Virginia State Police.
It might have been.
Yeah.
It could have been.
It might have been.
Yeah.
That was long ago, though.
By the way,
Jason Worth dealt with the same thing.
If you're
pretty
going,
unsafe.
I know.
Some people might say that's aggressive driving.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going
Call me crazy.
In the morning, and I was honest. I said, "Listen, I was just trying to see how fast I could go. I was bored. I wasn't drunk.
I love how
Right.
it was late.
You just take the penalty.
We did the show, by the way, 7 to 10, then we extended to 7 to 11. There was a period of time where we were working late.
Yeah, we were working 7 to 1 at one point.
It's tempting.
There was a period.
I know,
a few
during the
weeks.
FAN, there was a little period.
But now you're older.
But no, but Jason
we all have
Worth
gray
had
hair.
to deal with the
Jason,
same
you got
thing.
some
Jason
gray
Worth
hair,
went to
don't you? You got
jail.
some gray.
Well, Jason Worth was going 100.
I know, but and they said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Pushing my luck."
Yeah.
And he had to go to jail.
Well,
So aggressive driving, speed, unsafe lane changes, and tailgating. That tends to get the attention of the cops.
Well, we were
Of
talking
us.
about this last week, and Eric said they don't even go after these guys. The motorcycle guys that are going like 120.
Yeah, what do you guys do?
It's very dangerous.
You can't even catch those guys.
No, and to what extent? And we're doing our pursuit policy right now. But I don't want to knock on someone's door at 4:00 in the morning and say, your loved one died, either your police
Those are the
officer
worst.
or
I can't imagine
because we're chasing a motorcycle. But the technology can handle a lot of that nowadays.
Yeah.
We can still identify.
You just take your time.
Take your time a little bit.
What about? I know we got Fairfax specific issues.
Yeah.
But with the way crime is happening around the country now,
Right.
and guys walking into Target and just taking whatever they can under $1,000.
Well, LA is a disaster.
I mean, it's happening all over the country, right? Why is that happening? And how would you handle that?
Well, you see it spiking here in D.C. And Chief Conti, who's a good friend of mine. I mean, he was very adamant the last few days about what the criminal justice system needs to be doing to hold violent people accountable. So as the conversation goes, we don't need to incarcerate mentally ill,
right?
People in behavioral crisis. We don't need to incarcerate people addicted to drugs. But if you're violent and you hurt people, that's what the criminal justice system.
What about
is
shoplifting
for.
though? The guys just going in. Just
There's got to be
stuff.
accountability. There's got to be accountability.
Yeah.
So in Fairfax, believe it or not, we're up in murders year to date.
What's the number?
We're at 13.
What were
and
you
we
last
average about 14 a year.
Oh, wow.
So we're at 13 now, but overall crime is down over 14%. And it's hard to talk numbers because you're talking about human beings.
Yeah.
But violence has spiked, the murders. And I know we'll probably talk about Emily Lou.
Yeah.
We've had a couple doubles, the 2 full colonels who were killed in their driveway.
That's a crazy story.
I don't even know that story. What happened there?
One was active full colonel, Army, and his wife was retired full colonel, Army, both physicians.
They were out jogging or walking.
They were walking in their neighborhood. Their son had a dispute with someone, and that bad actor came to the house and killed the parents.
Killed the parents because he was pissed off.
And you found the person right away? You found the guilty guy right away?
Right away. Fairfax County Police Department closes crimes. Our closure rate for murders is well over 85%.
Oh, wow.
So that was a crazy
impressive.
story.
Was it a shooting?
It was a shooting.
Yeah,
it was a shooting. They had a young son.
What's the biggest? I mean, I would think the easiest thing for you guys these days is just there are cameras everywhere. I mean, I don't even know. You got to be crazy to commit a crime.
Yeah. Well, the opportunity to commit a crime and get away with it now is less than it ever has been.
Right.
Because of camera technology, cell phone technology. I mean, you can't go anywhere without some technology knowing where
picking
you are.
you up. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people feel, kind of eerie about that, but that's just the way it is.
So police reform is obviously a very controversial political topic in this country, and I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
All right, because on the news on Channel 4 about the cops in D.C. Morale's at an all-time low, and they talk about it. They tweet about it, and that would worry me. You talk about the spike in numbers.
Morale's real.
How is morale in Fairfax?
It's a challenge, and we're down about 115 cops. And that might not seem like a huge number compared to some of the big city police departments, but Fairfax County
just
Police
guys
Department,
quitting?
we've never been. We're taking an
Early
opportunity to
retirement.
retire.
Yeah.
Not necessarily early, but when they get eligible, they'll retire.
Yeah.
But you have a new website,
it's a challenge.
right? I'm going to help you plug your
It's
website.
joinfcpd.org is really, really cool. We've been working on that for like a month, and Lieutenant John Lieb is in studio with me. We need to attract young people to this profession. And young people are kind of skittish right now because they see the scrutiny our profession is under.
Right.
And we deserve to be under some scrutiny in many regards. We have to use force differently and better, and we have to interact with vulnerable communities, black and brown communities, better. And we're getting a lot of that right, but we're not there yet. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough time to recruit young people to think about joining this profession.
What brought you to it?
My dad, retired PGPD.
Okay. So it was kind of
it's
in
a
the
family thing. But I didn't know I was going to be a cop. And
Right.
I was in my little bubble. I was born and raised in College Park and went to DeMatha. And then, I didn't want to go to the University of Maryland because it was my backyard. So I went to Towson. I thought that was going away to school back then.
Right.
I'm going away. I'm going to Towson,
Right.
And then I came back and I got an English degree. And I just saw, what my dad enjoyed about the job. And here I am.
So for people that don't know, what do you need if you go to the website joinfcpd.org?
Yeah.
What do you need? You don't need a
You don't
college.
you don't need one.
You don't need a college diploma.
You
right?
don't need one. We like all of our police officers to work toward a college education. So if they don't come on the job with one, we'll help them get one when they're here. But it's just a heart and a capacity to help others and to serve. And that sounds like a big cliche, but if you care about the community and you care about public safety, policing is still a great job. In Fairfax County Police Department, we're the largest police department in Virginia, 32nd largest in the country, and you can do anything. You can be in the Marine unit, you can fly a helicopter, SWAT, homicide, narcotics. It's a big time police department with a great national
How many
reputation.
officers total?
Authorized strength is 1459.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you do like a Hill Street Blues bit where you're like talking to all the guys? For you, that probably doesn't happen very often, right?
Yeah, you're dating yourself on Hill Street Blues.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Let's
What a
be
great
careful
show,
out
though.
there. That was an awesome show. So I have hit either in person or virtually every roll call, which is no easy task. There's like 68 different roll calls, and I hit them in the first 3 months, either virtually or in person. But I like to interact with cops. I consider myself a cop's cop. I know what they're up against. It's tougher now than it was when I came on, just because of the scrutiny and the technology, the body cameras. We captured our first police-involved shooting a week ago on body camera, which I think is great. It gives everybody the opportunity to see what happened.
Right. Real
It's
quick,
a game changer.
Was it clean? Was it?
Preliminarily, yes, it was, and I spoke to that. But of course, there's an investigation.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we only have a couple of minutes, you wanted to talk about National Night Out, which is coming up Tuesday, August 3rd, right?
August 3rd, every year, first Tuesday of the month. This speaks to the health of Fairfax County. 135 National Night Out locations throughout the county, organized by the community, and the cops participate. I mean, 130, to put that number in perspective, when I was the police commissioner in Baltimore, we were lucky if we had half a dozen on National Night Out, and 135 in Fairfax. That says something about the people of Fairfax and how they really view public safety and the necessity for it.
And this is just a random question. Is drunk driving down now? I would think with Uber and Lyft and all that available to people that your drunk driving incidents have to be going down.
Yes. I mean, if you're not taking advantage of Uber, you're
an idiot.
But we have
most drunk drivers are though.
Yeah, in the moment. But we have a DUI
decisions.
squad, and they make a lot of DUI arrests. So I think during COVID, we saw a couple spikes with drunk driving arrests because people are home and their ability to cope goes down the tube sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's still an issue, but not nearly as much as it used to be.
It's
National fatalities throughout the country are dramatically down compared to the 70s and 80s, and we have so many more people now.
Right.
But fatal crashes, drunk driving, those things are way down.
And real quick, we mentioned Emily Lou. She was the 72-year-old woman that disappeared a couple months ago. You do have a suspect in custody.
He's
charged.
He's charged. Brian Sayers, 25 years old. He was her tenant. We don't have an exact motive yet. Autopsy just occurred over the weekend, so we'll know more on the cause and manner of death. But he was her tenant.
How quickly was he a suspect for you guys? Can you say that?
Immediately. He was a person of interest immediately. Because he lived with her as a tenant.
Was he talking to you immediately?
So he has been speaking to homicide detectives for the last 50 days. And over the weekend, during another telephone conversation with the homicide detective basically said, hey, I'm going to come pick you up. We're going to take a ride. And then that's when Sayers took the homicide detective to her body.
Right, so he knew, right.
Wow.
When you say a tenant, he was living in the basement of her home?
He was renting a room.
Okay,
he was renting a room. And Emily Lou, I got to know a little bit her daughter and her sister. Great people, great family. Very sad. Very sad.
Chief Davis, appreciate you joining us in the studio. Again, if you're interested, join FCPD.org, and you can be the next generation of the Fairfax County Police Department. Thanks a lot for joining us. A little bit later in the show, we'll get more into the Bradley Beal deal. Jake Fisher broke the story for Bleacher Report, joins us at 8:20, but I need to let you know, whether you're a platoon leader or a cheerleader, PenFed makes it easy for all of us to achieve our financial goals with great rates for those in the military and those who are not. PenFed offers credit cards, online savings accounts, auto loans, mortgages, and more, all at great rates for everyone. Visit PenFed.org for more information. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed. But hey, membership is open to everyone. PenFed is an equal housing lender insured by NCUA.